To succeed in Afghanistan, we need three conditions to be met. First, a realistic definition of objectives. Bush's objectives for Afghanistan were unrealistic. Democracy, modernity, new cultural patterns of behavior, including men and women. All desirable objectives, all unattainable by force from the outside. And we have to be careful not to imitate the errors of the Soviets. The Soviets went in a spirit somewhat similar to President Bush's, to create a socialist society, an egalitarian society, an atheistic society. And we know what happened to the Soviets. Let's not imitate them. Objectives have to be realistic and therefore in keeping with the realities of Afghanistan. And these include the fact that it is, in many respects, a pre-modern society. Urban parts, relatively modern, much of the country not. Deeply rooted in its own identity, xenophobic in outlook, militant in commitment, extremely diversified and localized in its internal political arrangements. We cannot create a modern state in which we have a perfectly democratic president in Kabul who meets our standards of non-corruption. I pause to give you time to think, what are our standards of non-corruption? In practice, not very good, I'm sorry to say. Look at our financial crisis. Afghanistan cannot become a modern society. It can only stabilize itself on the basis of its diversified realities, in which there are not too many Afghans in a country of 31 million people. Most Afghans are Afghan Pashtuns, or Afghan Tajiks, or Afghan Uzbeks, or Afghan Turkmenis, or Afghan Hazaras. And they're accustomed to ruling and running their lives on a local basis. If we want to defeat the Taliban, we should not press as hard as we are still doing, and this is where I disagree with some aspects of our policy, to organize a national Afghan army and national police forces. We have to move much more towards organizing local militias based on local loyalties and local interests in small towns and villages. And they are the ones who can then assert themselves against the Taliban if needed. And they can do it on a local basis.